Pleasure. Ian Collins will be taking care of Project Harvest, Volume 2, in just a few weeks.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
The Eagle has landed.
The mother of all talk shows, George Galloway, on talkSPORT.
This is a deadly serious matter.
Their own case for war collapsed.
I have directed the armed forces to prepare for any eventuality.
Did it really happen the way they said it did?
But I just wanted to pick you up on one point.
I did tell the government.
Collective confrontation and political agitation across the nation.
The battle has been joined.
George Galloway.
Take our case to the country.
Every Saturday and Sunday night from 8.
So the eyes have it.
On talkSPORT.
One of the issues that's dominated our calls this morning is Islam and the neighbours. And if you've just woken up and you think, well, I'd like to comment on that, I've got something to say. All right, okay. Don't get out your pram. It's 08704 2020 08704 2020 Islam and the neighbours. Now, around about this time of year, it's quite usual for us to get nudged in the ribs by the medical profession and say, don't forget, it's time for the flu jab. And I just wondered, are they as effective as is claimed for them? Flu jabs. Good idea or not? 08704 2020. And aunties, if you're an auntie, are you a good one? I suppose if we're in an egalitarian society, we should take on uncles too. Are you a good uncle? 08704 2020. I know my friend's son, Harry, what is he? He's about 17 in a minute. Dare. Can't get away with a small cheque anymore, can you, when they get to that age? No. More mothers than ever are staying home. I wonder if you're one of them. Yeah, it's a fact. It's all back to the 40s and 50s. More mothers than ever are staying home. So they're staying home to grow up, with the children. Are you doing that? 08704 2020. So that's some of the things we were talking about this morning. Flu jabs, are they as effective as is claimed of them? And aunties, are you a good one? You don't have to answer that. And more mothers than ever are staying home. Are you one of them? Islam and the neighbours has dominated a big chunk of our call time overnight. And if you'd like to have your say, now will be a good time, actually, because it's 6 o'clock. Alan Brazil with The Breakfast Show will be here, and they're not pausing for anything. 08704 2020. Or you can text me on 81089 and expect to pay 50% with your 50 pence above your usual service charge. Or you can email me talksport.net. But flu jabs, are they as good as they told us they would be? Can you trust them? Now apparently is the time to get one. And aunties, are you a good one? And more mothers than ever are staying home. Are you one of them? Islam and the neighbours. Things we're talking about this morning. 08704 2020. Now, we'll have a little review of the papers today, and we'll start off with the Express. 82 degrees Fahrenheit, Britain's glorious Indian summer, but gales are on the way. Boo-hoo. One of the downsides of some really fab weather is the damage it does to the trees and the vegetation. The heat just scorches those leaves. And then along come a big bunch of insects that, one would have hoped might have got rained out and gotten away from the vegetation, but apparently no. They find an easy bed in the trees when the leaves are a little bit brown and they just tuck in there together. And they look a bit like daddy long legs, with their brown legs and what have you. So, apart from all that, let's just move over here a bit. Something about the Navy. The Royal Navy was facing further cuts the other day, and the government ordered yet another review. Defence Secretary Des Brown said the target will be naval bases, which could suffer radical reductions, but one defence expert warned the Navy's already cut down to the bone. Unions fear job losses, and Keith Hazelwood of the GMB said We have a skills shortage encroaching on us pretty fast. It's not the time to look at closing down yards. Since the end of the Cold War, the Navy's been savaged by cuts, with its destroyer and frigate force slashed by half to 25. Steve Bush, editor of specialist magazine Warship World, said, if you close a base and sell off the land, you can't get it back. It means that if we need to expand in a time of war, we can't. Wow. That, and when we started the programme, I think 1 o'clock this morning, we were talking about British servicemen, soldiers, running out of bullets. So they couldn't continue a firefight between them and the people they were chasing in the Helmand province in South Afghanistan. John's in Bedfordshire. Hello, John. Good morning.
Good morning. You're up very early?
Well, I think it could be the other way round, John. Up very late.
Well, probably, yeah.
Yes. What about you?
Well, I've just got out of bed to talk to you.
Oh, well, at least you've had a decent kip.
I was going to say about Islamic people. I've got some wonderful Islamic neighbours. I live in a small town in Bedfordshire, and I think the trouble is a lot of people don't bother to talk to these people, and they stay isolated.
Yes.
I've gone out my way to talk to Islamic people, and I find them very nice and I get on well with them.
Yes. I suppose it would be fair to say, in the defence of those who haven't been so good at communicating, is that it's not unusual for some of the family not to speak English.
That's very true. One particular family we talked to, there's a father and 3 sons, and they run a restaurant in the town. And we only got talking to him because every time we passed their window, he was standing at the counter looking out at us, and he smiled. And I thought, well, if he smiles at us, I went in and had a word with him, you know, and we've been friends ever since.
Great.
His sons all talk to me, they all talk English. Marvellous people. And I think the people who do these terrible things in the name of Islam are a very, very small minority. The same as the yobs in the town centres and that. I mean, we've got some wonderful youngsters in this country, but all you hear about is the yobs.
Yes.
Let's give the good people some praise for a change.
Those who might be a little bit more hot-headed. Do you keep a songbird?
Oh, I've got a cockatiel. His name's Dinky. He's 25 years old this year.
Is he really?
And he's been sitting in this cage ever since I got married for the second time. He cost £4.50, and the cage cost £28.
It's a bit like being married, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
There's the wedding costs, and there's the licence, you know.
Yeah, but he's getting old. His brain's going. He used to say, "Pretty, pretty boy, have a Guinness." But now all he says is "pretty, pretty, pretty."
Well, he knows what he means.
Well, I suppose he does.
I don't know if you wanted to have a go at the win double, but I was asking the question, if you're an uncle or an aunt, are you a good uncle or aunt?
Well, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and flu jabs, are they as effective as is claimed of them?
Well, I'm getting on a bit. I'm nearly 70, and I've had one for the last 3 years. Every time I have one, I get a slight cold afterwards, but I don't know. The thing about flu jabs is there's so many different strains, aren't there?
Yeah.
So how do you know you're going to have the right strain of flu jab?
I suppose you've got to ask your doc, and they work it out as to your general health and what seems to be the favourite to be caught that year.
Well, I have it because I've got asthma, you know, so
right.
I think it's just a wise thing to do.
Is it? I can remember asthma being very, very unusual.
It's not today, is it?
No. I've got a theory about asthma today, and it's simply this, that it's a cocktail effect. You know, you've got pollutants coming out of exhaust pipes.
Yeah, I think so.
You've got all sorts of stuff floating around in the atmosphere from manufacturing plants. And some other stuff we probably don't even know about.
Yeah, I've had it for about 20 odd years now, and
So up until you were nearly 50, you didn't have it?
no, I didn't. That's right.
That's extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't get it bad like some people do, but I find I'm worse in the evenings, you know. I sit watching the telly and it starts, and I have to go and get the old stuff and have a pump of this and a pump of that.
Yeah. You don't think it's the dust that comes off the television? Because when it gets hot, you know, the TV gets hot.
No, I always blame the bird.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it might be him, I don't know. But of course I smoke and I shouldn't, so...
Oh, well, that's going to accelerate it, isn't it?
Well, I've smoked for years, and I think at my age, what's the point of stopping now, you know? You're just sitting there waiting for the Grim Reaper and...
Eternally cheerful.
I'm a very cheerful person.
Yeah.
I enjoy life still, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think that's... I was going to say lucky, but I think it's also something people work at, you know, because I think I suspect that luck is a word that's overly used in our population, and the truth of the matter is, you know, as a friend of mine said, the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yeah, maybe, but I think in this terrible day and age, because I call it a terrible day and age, I mean, back in the 50s and 60s, we used to have a wonderful life as a youngster. I mean, these youngsters today, well, they get your stuff thrown at them, you know, presents, they can have whatever they want. I mean, I was brought up during the war and we had hardly anything, but we were very happy. We used to make our own enjoyment, which kids don't do today. Well, they can't, can they? All the maniacs on the streets.
Yeah, well, that's a very good point, actually. You know, it's the age of mixing with the neighbours' kids, and I wonder, and I say this very, very quickly. I wonder if not playing outside has brought about an increase in using puffers.
Yeah, I think that's a lot to do with it.
John, we've got to slide off. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for being with us. We were talking about John's great Islamic neighbours. We'll be looking at their newspapers pretty soon, and also taking your morning calls. The number, and I know you'd like to be a part of it, is 08704 20 20 20, 08704 20 20 20, or send me an email, talksport.net. Flu jabs, aunties, are you a good one? And more mothers than ever are staying home. Is that true for you? Are you spending more time at home with the kids? Give me a call and tell me about it. I'm Mike Allen. This is talkSPORT. Your calls on 08704 20 20 20. We're talking about this, that and the other and the price of fish. I'll also be having a newspaper review for you right after the news. Yes, front pages and the bits in the middle. But of course, emails also to talksport.net. I'm Mike Allen, sitting in for Mike Mendoza on 08704 20 20 20. 08704 20 20 20.
On 1089 and 1053 AM.
You didn't falsify and you didn't invent.
Around the world.
There is only one real peace.
Around the clock. Order! From the Sky News Centre. Talk Sport on the Hour News.
The top stories from the Sky News Centre at 5.
On 1089 and 1053 AM. Talk Sport.
We're going to try something a little different this morning. Yes, well, you need to be brave. I'm going to be mentioning a series of features or articles, whatever, that appear in the press. Today's papers, the 19th to the 9th. If you've just woken up, good morning. It's 2006. There you are. I told you not to take those sleeping tablets. So if there's something you want to comment on, be really quick, okay? The number is 08704 20 20 20. What should we start off with? Let's start off with The Guardian. Front page of The Guardian, crisis over prisons and probation exposed. And Iran's spiritual head lashes out at the Pope. Russia tries to rein in foreign oil firms and top managers take bungs, says an agent. A bogus tramp jailed for attacks on girls. Any of those stories? 08704 20 20 20. The strength and determination of the Taliban were misjudged, says the Defence Secretary. Labour admits we made mistakes in Afghanistan. with all the ease of a practice long spin bowler, I've moved across to the Telegraph. Don't forget, if there's something you want to comment on, just pick up the phone, give me a call. Hurricane Gordon, the tail end of a tropical storm, is likely to bring heavy rain, high winds, and unseasonal mugginess, sweeping in from the Atlantic just in time for the Ryder Cup. Hurricane Gordon is moving east towards the Azores, and although on the wane, the British Isles could feel its effects. I thought they were talking about Gordon Brown. They're not. It's a real hurricane. Hurricane Gordon moving east, and a Met Office spokesman said the K Club outside Dublin, where Europe's golfers will be hiding for the third successive victory over the United States on Friday, could be in for a soaking. That sounds nice, doesn't it? All these chaps sitting around having a glass of something, you know, probably high-altitude orange juice. 08704 20 20 20. The Archbishop of Canterbury, Dr. Rowan Williams, joined the debate into the state of childhood yesterday, suggesting it was worth a try to ban advertising aimed at the under-12s. I'd like to comment on this. 08704 20 20 20. He also indicated an imbalance in family life with too many incentives for women to return to work, creating a pressure that might lead society to pay a price that had not been properly considered. One of our talking points, I mentioned it to you earlier, is if you're staying home as a mother, do you regret it, or do you think it was a wise decision? 08704 20 20 20. An author is accused of inventing a harrowing story of childhood torture and rape. To my knowledge, she never had a child. My father did not abuse me. The stuff is alleged in this book. It didn't happen in our house. The book's called Kathy's Story, allegedly written by Kathy O'Brien. It's extraordinary that people can make stuff up, hopefully, just to intrigue you in a story, and then it stays with people forever because somebody thinks it might be true. A reprise for Action Man, something we spoke of earlier this morning, and apparently this isn't anywhere near at all something for the kids. No. It's something for the weekend, sir, something you're throwing out in the children's toys. It's aimed at the farmer's market. Ah, now it starts to make sense. I see. It's designed for dads. Dads whose Action Man has worn out a bit. I love it. My dad's got an Action Man. Shh. Scientists are linking an acne drug to depression. And McDonald's has launched free courses, as opposed to free courses in basic reading, writing and numeracy for its employees in an attempt to provide the skills many school leavers lack. I think if ever there was any doubt that exams are easier to pass, we've just had an example that if a major food company, such as McDonald's, decides it's in its best interests to make sure they can read and write and have basic numeracy, they wouldn't be doing it, would they? I'm just going to change papers now. Whoops. Ooh. The Sun. A Potter Party sex attack. A guest charged after Rupert's 18th. The cops last night probing allegations that a girl was sexually assaulted at Harry Potter star Robert Grint's 18th birthday party. Detectives were called in after the alleged victim, who cannot be named for legal reasons, made a complaint. Well, and also Rio Ferdinand on the front page, looking very determined, has revealed his shock at witnessing vile racial abuse from a household name footballer, the Premiership player called Rio's teammate. Anyway, I'll leave that to you. You can have a look at that when you're feeling ready for it. Big Brother's Pete. Nikki's terrible in the sack. She's not really interested in sex. Perhaps she's just not interested in you. There's more on the Chris Tarrant parting. And Steve Coogan apparently met up with Paris Hilton, but she wouldn't ask him in. Really? I can't believe it. Big star like him. Didn't she know who Alan Partridge is? Doesn't she know the seasonal wealth that could come her way, going out for refreshing blackcurrant juice with a slice of lemon. On the Sun Says section this morning, doctors and nurses are being sacked, emergency services are slashed and hospitals axed. Yet Patricia Hewitt tries to persuade us that somehow this means an improvement in services. Divorced from reality in her Whitehall ivory tower, she insists there are actually no cuts. Miriam Grice's distraught mother left in a pool of blood for 4 hours after giving birth because of a midwife shortage. Or the couple in towns across the country waiting to hear if their local hospital is going to close. Despite pouring billions of pounds into the system, the NHS is in deep financial crisis. Money's been squandered, pen pushers outnumber medical staff, and ministers are desperately trying to conceal the shambles. But never mind, patronising Patricia Hewitt, as they refer to her, mangles the English language. A cut is a cut in staff, hospitals and patient services. And also on the Sun Says column, the women who tried to sabotage Jamie Oliver's healthy school diet have abandoned their stupid protest. Was it because Headmaster John Lambert gave them a ticket off, or because their brains finally kicked into gear? Maybe we'd like to think the majority of sensible mums know Jamie's diet is good for their kids, and they would tell their protesters precisely where to put their sausage and chips. Old police ignored 4 999 calls when an old lady was burgled, so her neighbours took the law into their own hands. They formed a posse, tailed 2 burglars across town and stopped them escaping by train. It was a triumph for citizen power, but by the time the cops finally arrived, one thief had legged it. Senior officers have now apologised. Oh, it's all gone away then, isn't it, really? Nothing happened at all. talkSPORT's John Gaunt on page 11. What's he leading with? Catholics didn't have a fatwa on Dave Allen. And over the page, Rio Ferdinand, his own story, his own words, and day 2 of it all. There's a story of a reverend running off with a Milko's wife, and David Beckham wearing the tweed hat. I've got a tweed hat like that. No, I shan't be wearing it, not until tomorrow. Let's move across to the Independent. Virginia Ironside's secrets of growing old disgracefully revealed. Flirt, don't swear, and never wear white. The front page of the Independent, newspaper of the year, says Gaza, the children killed in a war the world doesn't want to know about. Pride in space as Iran cheers first Muslims' journey to the stars. And the public are able to distinguish between real and phony liberals. Sabine Campbell attacked the Tories over Iraq. The point about liberalisation in foreign affairs has not been liberal after the event. And you think you have public opinion, wouldn't you? Yeah. Well, we'll see how far you go with public opinion, Mr. Campbell. We're close to tipping point to win on power, says Hoon. Yeah, we'll see. And a new climate detected as Britain grows ever hotter. Burgundy on the North Downs. Although white wine graces certain slopes, England has hitherto always been too cool for red wine grapes, and in particular for the Pinot Noir, the classic grape of Burgundy. But at the Denbies wine estate near Dorking in Surrey on the North Downs, 25 miles from central London, the Pinot Noir grape is now flourishing and producing a delicious Burgundy, English style. But be warned, it's not cheap. No change there then. It's nearly 15 minutes after 5. What we do, we get an update with the travel. I can feel a twitching in my shoe. Here it comes.
talkSPORT Traffic and Travel.
Here's Russell with the travel. Russell.
Morning, Mike. It's not too bad a start, actually, across much of the UK, although in Greater Manchester on the M61, you'll find the carriageways are closed in both directions following an accident last night. It was about 7 o'clock yesterday evening. Closed both ways, junctions 1 to 4, which is between the M60, the Swinton interchange, and the A6 at Farnworth. There's a lorry involved that went through the central reservation. They hope to have at least one, hopefully not 2 of the lanes back open before the morning rush, but we'll wait and see what happens connections there. A41 in Hertfordshire, that's closed southbound at the junction with the A416 in Berkhamsted because of an accident. And in Carmarthenshire, the A485, mentioned this yesterday morning, still closed at Alt Wallace following an overturned lorry and fuel spillage. And I reckon it's still going to take a little while yet to sort out. Diversions are in place. And on the trains, South West Trains, Southern Trains, First Great Western service is disrupted between Portsmouth Harbour and Portsmouth and Southsea again today because of their ongoing signalling problem. I'm Russell Holding with talkSPORT Traffic and Travel.
talkSPORT Traffic and Travel. talkSPORT, the radio station which hides things under the bed and occasionally on top of the wardrobe. talkSPORT.
Good morning, I'm Mike Allen. Your calls on the regular number. And also texts and emails. We're just going round to collect some texts and emails. And you might be wondering why we have to go and do it. It's because the computer in the control room has frozen up. I don't know. There's something about it. 08704 20 20 20. Or text with a 50p surcharge to 81089 or email talksport.net. Now, more to go on. According to the Tate Modern, Tate Britain had its most successful year since the opening of its sibling, Tate Modern, despite a fall in visitor numbers to London after last year's bombing. A record 1.7 million people visited the original Tate Gallery in Millbank. Oh, good. So good down there. I love it with Shaky Bridge and all that sort of stuff. Yes, I know it's not shaky anymore, but it will forever be Shaky Bridge to me. London reveals in a role as a fashion design nursery, and Jacques Chirac calls for a threat of Iran sanctions to be lifted. The Vatican experts say the Pope is unrepentant. No doubt there'll be things to be said about that later on this morning on talkSPORT. And Barry's in Thirsk. Hello, Barry, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. You need to turn the volume up. You're down at very low level of what I can hear.
What? Like this?
No, you need to turn the volume up.
I'll have to wait until John comes in.
All right, because it's like as if you got the radio turned down very, very low.
Oh.
I don't know why that. Oh, what if you can explain to me? I'd like to know. Well, I have radios on in different rooms, tuned into talkSPORT, of course, and sometimes when I'm midway between the rooms, that one of the radios, what's coming out is just a slight delay behind the others, and when the adverts come on, there's different adverts, yet it's the same program.
Yeah, one of the radios will be tuned to a medium wave frequency. And
well,
the
of course,
other...
they're all both on medium wave, on 10, whatever it is, anyway.
What, 1053, 1089?
Well, whichever, because, I mean, I can't see exactly where it is. I mean, I just fiddle around, because sometimes it tunes in and you get a bit of distortion on, you just move it slightly more.
Yeah.
And it's like that with all my radios, because I've just got the ordinary radios, not the digital.
Well, you probably find that you've got one tuned to 1053 and the other one to 1089.
Yeah.
Because those frequencies come up across the country in different parts, and because they come up in different parts, they're not necessarily carrying the same commercials, because we might have sold a different commercial package to someone else in a different area.
I tell you, it's very confusing, and particularly, when people are speaking and it's like an echo coming out, because that slight, like a split-second delay in what's coming out from one radio compared to the other, and you're midway between the rooms. For the girls who work for me, it's very disconcerting for them.
Yeah, I know, it's strange,
when
isn't it?
my place.
But we're right across it, and if you tune in both of them to the same output signal.
But I don't see how I can do that with my radios. I think probably like most people, you just move it around a bit, because you get where what's coming out, it just fluctuates all the time.
Then there's not an answer to the problem, man.
No, I've just got to put up with it.
Well, no, you don't have to put up with it. You can tune them both to 1089.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. But it depends on the room. Yeah, the strength of the signal varies, you see, in different parts of the house. Maybe it depends on the thickness of the walls or surrounding buildings. I don't know.
No, that has something to do with it.
Yes.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh, right. So maybe I need to invest in digital. Maybe that's the thing to do.
I tell you something, I would.
Yes.
Because
then you don't have all this twiddling with the knobs, and different times of the day and night, the signal varies and so on, and You know, it is a problem.
Well, it's a lot cleaner, and you can buy a really decent radio now for a lot less than...
For about £50, I understand.
That's right. I mean, it was about 90,
Yes,
18 months
talkSPORT,
ago.
yeah, talkSPORT produces one, doesn't it? I believe it retails through Curry's. I think that's what I've heard on your programmes.
You're probably right. It's okay.
Yeah.
I've got more digital radios than I can shake a stick at. Having said that, of course, I should go home and somebody's broken in and stolen them all.
Well, to be hoped not. So, I hope it's not going to be 10 years before we hear you again.
Well, no.
Because it was about 10 years ago, wasn't it?
Yes, I think it was.
And like I said recently to you, it was on a Saturday night that you used to be on.
Yes, Friday, Saturday and Sunday.
Yes, because I remember speaking to you 10 years ago. I even remember what we spoke about.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do.
What was that?
Oh, I was telling you about my partner's house in Darlington and how thin the walls were, and you could hear the shenanigans in the house in the bedroom next door.
Oh, dear. That can be a bit embarrassing, can't it?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, and you might remember. And this guy, you could hear him through the wall. He was saying, "You got to work at it, Betty. You got to work at it." And she'd say, I can't. You could hear the bed going, ba-doom, ba-doom, ba-doom. It's absolutely true.
Oh, I don't doubt it. It's absolutely divine, isn't it?
Yeah, but anyway.
Absolutely divine.
Yeah, honestly, but if you'd seen it, you wouldn't think it was even possible. But
you got to work at it, Betty. You got to work.
You got to work at it. You got to work at it. I can't.
Oh, you can.
But oh dear me. But yes, I remember telling you about that, and you thought it was so funny.
Oh, it's lovely.
Which it was, yes.
But I think it owes so much to your voice. You know, it just makes it come alive.
But anyway, I'm putting, about a British serviceman. I spent 5 years in the force. It's absolutely disgraceful, isn't it? The Ministry of Defence is allowing our servicemen to run out of ammunition.
Oh, running out of ammunition, running out of rockets.
It's disgraceful, isn't it?
And then they've got trouble with their ships. They're thinking about closing down some yards.
Well, it's absolutely disgraceful. I remember some years ago they couldn't even send the Navy, couldn't send the ships out because they didn't have enough oil. We've got aircraft that are being cannibalized to keep other aircraft flying. It's the same with helicopters. It's the same throughout the services. It's a national disgrace, isn't it? Our servicemen are out in these different war zones